53,000 miles of road, no engines, no steel, no satellites to plan a single mile of it. And yet, a courier could leave Rome and reach the edge of Britain faster than a letter could cross England 1,000 years later. Think about that. No trucks, no trains, no pavement machines rolling out asphalt by the mile, just stone, gravel, sweat, and a plan that outlasted the people who made it. Here's the machine nobody built on purpose that held an empire together for 500 years and then quietly came apart underneath it. This isn't really a story about Rome. It's a story about infrastructure itself, a problem every large civilization since has had to solve, and most got wrong. Build the system too well, and you forget it needs to be maintained. Build it too centrally, and the day the center falls, everything connected to it falls with it. Let's start with one road, one man, one decision that changed how empires move. 312 BC, Rome is not yet an empire. It's a city-state at war, and its army keeps getting stuck. Supplies move slower than soldiers. A censor named Appius Claudius Caecus looks at the muddy tracks connecting Rome to the south and decides the problem isn't the war, it's the road. So he builds one, straight where straight is possible, curved only where the land refuses to bend, layered stone, packed gravel, a camber so rain runs off instead of pooling into mud. Surveyors use a tool called a groma, a wooden cross with plumb lines hanging from each arm, to sight a perfectly straight line across 50 miles of Italian countryside. They call it the Via Appia, the Queen of Roads. It isn't finished for the glory of it. It's finished so an army can reach Capua before the enemy expects them. But something strange happens once it's built. Merchants use it, farmers use it, messengers use it. A road built for legions becomes the nervous system of a civilization. And Rome notices, because a road by itself is just stone. What makes it powerful is what runs on top of it. Enter the cursus publicus, the empire's official relay system, formalized under Augustus. Every 20 to 30 miles, a station. Mutationes for a fresh horse, mansiones for a bed, a meal, a change of rider, if the message really matters. A courier could cover 50 miles in a day, where an ordinary traveler managed 20. Information, the one thing an empire spanning 3 continents cannot survive without, could now move almost as fast as a decision could be made. Here's the part most people miss. This wasn't a private business, it was a government program, funded by taxes, staffed by officials, and it only worked because someone, somewhere, was constantly paying for it. Which brings us to the people nobody names, not the emperors, not the generals whose statues still stand, the road wardens, the station masters at every mansio, quietly logging which horses were where, which couriers passed through, which bridges needed repair before winter. The surveyors who walked ahead of construction crews for months, sometimes years, before a single stone was laid. The provincial officials who had to find, every single year, the labor and material to patch 53,000 miles of stone against frost, flood, and cartwheels. We know some of this because of an odd source. Diocletian's edict on maximum prices, a document meant to control inflation that accidentally recorded in exhausting detail exactly what it cost to move goods and people across the empire. We know more from Ammianus Marcellinus, a Roman historian who wrote about officials abusing the cursus publicus for personal travel, proof that even in the 4th century, people understood this system was valuable enough to steal. Nobody remembers their names, but without them, there is no empire. Just cities isolated, unaware of each other, unable to respond when something goes wrong, 2 provinces away. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. The same feature that made this system extraordinary, total dependence on centralized funding and centralized administration, was also its single point of failure. What happens when the center can no longer pay? By the 3rd and 4th centuries, tax revenue is shrinking. Political instability is constant. Emperors change faster than roads can be resurfaced. The maintenance budget that once meant a crew showed up every spring to repack the gravel starts to disappear. At first, nothing looks different. Stone lasts. That's the whole point of stone. But give it a generation. Weeds work into the cracks. Bridges that once got inspected every year go 5 years without a look, then 10. Local landowners start pulling up perfectly good paving stones, not to destroy the road, just to build a wall, a barn, a house. Why quarry new stone when Rome already quarried it for you? The stations start disappearing too. No funding for fresh horses means no fast couriers. No fast couriers means a warning from the frontier takes weeks instead of days to reach anyone who could act on it. This is the turn nobody saw coming when Appius Claudius Caecus laid that first straight line in 312 BC. The very centralization that let information move at unprecedented speed meant that when the center weakened, the whole network weakened with it, not all at once, not with a single dramatic collapse, just quietly, road by road, bridge by bridge. By 476 AD, the Western Empire is gone. And here's the twist historians still argue about. The roads didn't vanish. Stone doesn't disappear overnight. But the system running on top of the stone, the funding, the couriers, the maintenance crews, the officials who logged every horse and every mile, that system depended entirely on a functioning Roman state. And when the state went, the system went with it, even while the physical road sometimes remained for centuries, slowly reverting to a dirt track under medieval feet. So which was it? The thing that built Rome or the thing that helped unmake it? Both. That's the uncomfortable answer. The Via Appia and everything built on top of its model let a city of a few 100,000 people project power across 3 continents. And the total reliance on one government to fund, maintain, and administer that network meant that Rome's greatest achievement in infrastructure was also a single, brittle point of failure, one that took centuries to fully unravel but never really recovered. Every city you've ever lived in has its own version of this: a power grid, a water system, a network of roads repaved by a budget you've never once thought about, run by people whose names you will never know until the day the funding stops and you find out exactly how much your life depended on it.